Hey, welcome. This is The Process. My name is Dr. John Bush. This is Snaps Report Weeks 1 to 9 Focus. This is, again, the journey that I do every week. Uh, you get to hear a little bit about it. I can't go over everything. I don't have time. You don't have time to listen, but at least you can get a sense of things that I think are critical for fantasy. And you can check out this full article at the scienceoffantasyfootball.com. It will be there under the snaps report there for this week. Lots of other goodies as well. Trying to help you out, teach you how to get better, allowing you to see what I'm doing as far as my process. This frames my thinking. There's lots of other data streams I use. Snaps is certainly one of them. You can see my game analysis should be coming out Saturday morning for Sunday. Uh, it's Thursday afternoon, so I'm awaiting the Thursday game tonight. And I've put out the my Thursday analysis already. You can check that out, or you can see what I said and how goofy I was. Whatever. Hate allergies, by the way. Okay, introduction. Chasing the volume is pretty much the rule of thumb. It's heuristic in fantasy football. It's not everything. Again, it's always backward looking and chasing points, chasing snaps. The danger, of course, is what happened last week is different than what will happen this week. So use these kind of information to imagine then the matchup this week. What could happen this week? What are some of the outcomes? What are some of the things? It's never as straightforward as rankings want you to believe. When you assign a number to a player, uh, that's, eh, not sure that's the best way to do it. I give rankings as well, but at least I frame it with kind of the game matchup, the defense against the position, my uncertainty rankings, and so uh, snaps is something I use mainly to manipulate my roster to drop add, to trade, to do waiver wires, okay, and potentially lineups if players are ascending or declining. I like to know that. It's critical, I think. Uh, to think about that. Okay, so chasing volume, you can read that. Then my efficiency metrics, and I've talked about this before, but I think part of my process, I need to understand kind of where teams are at in this part of the season. Again, it's backward looking. Don't have a crystal ball. I can't see forward looking. If I could, you would be listening to me because I wouldn't be here talking. I'd be on my own private island somewhere if I could predict the future. Uh, but in this case, I use something points per second, yards per game, and combine those two data streams and call it a ratio. So you get the points, and the points are actually on the scoreboard. So this is the offensive opportunities. There is some defense into this, but kind of a an overview of the offensive nature of the team with some, like I said, defense. Yards per game, what are the total yardage, running, passing? So we're getting in a capacity kind of idea. And so yards per game and points scored, you would think, oh, it seems to follow. Well, not necessarily. And in fact, you'll see by the ratio, there are clearly teams that put up a lot of yards and don't score a lot, right? So there's the danger. I mean, in PPR, certainly, targets is good and receptions better, obviously. But if there's not scoring of touchdowns, right? I mean, that's almost an unpredictable bonus in all this. That's the idea of the volume is why I'm hoping the player I've put in my lineup will get a lot of activity and fall into the end zone in some way. So trying to estimate just how good a team is at putting those touchdowns in and producing a lot of points. And there are teams that probably score a lot relative to the yards they put up. So there's strengths and weaknesses in each team, right? So we would love lots of points and lots of yards, correct? Correct. We don't like little points and little yards. Okay, so there's kind of the extremes, right? The ceiling, the floor. And so where do teams fall in that spectrum there? Okay, and I think efficiency looks at that. And I have a lot more data, but I'll just put it out here. So this week we're looking at efficiency changes. Okay, last 3 weeks, what's going on with these teams? What teams are improving? What are declining? So we have this figure. We look at the total season efficiency, points per second, yards per game, and you don't have to worry about all the zeros and what. Long story short, just a snapshot. Purple is the high, yellow is the low. So there's the extremes right there. And then that's for the season. Then just the last 3 weeks. So what's happening lately, and then my difference late versus the whole season. When you look and compare that, you look for and get a percentage, and anything above kind of 100 or so is probably, 100 is kind of average, 102, 104, 98, 97. So I'm looking at the extremes. So in this case, Arizona, Philadelphia, Minnesota, Dallas, New England, Denver are at least 16 to 47% above in efficiency in the last 3 weeks. So they've improved close to at least 20% or better. That's good news. Okay. That's probably good news for fantasy players. Okay. So these are some teams that are getting my attention. But that's not the whole story, right? Look at Denver. Denver's some of the lowest efficiency and lowest efficiency in the last 3 weeks. But comparatively, in the last 3 weeks, they've done 16% better. So that is, maybe there's an improvement coming, right? So we're trying to imagine that movement forward. So Denver has to be in the mix here. So you could take a look at that. So the opposite of floor here is the Jets, Jacksonville, Pittsburgh, Detroit, Kansas City, Tampa Bay, the 23% below efficiency in the last 3 weeks. That is super sad. Okay. Even Kansas City has been struggling recently, about 20% off from their comparative year, season efficiency. So these are teams I'm a little more cautious. This is, by me staining red with the yellow font there, color font. It should warn you a little bit. The depth of the players you're playing, what does this week look like? If it's another tough situation, maybe this is a signal to ease off or maybe fade some of these players. Okay. I mean, in Kansas City, you're not going to fade Kelsey, but maybe, uh, he's going through this period of time where it's not as good as it has been. Detroit has a home away split issue that we'll see in the next figures there. So when it's in there at the home, they do so much better in efficiency than away, and they're away this week. So I'm really concerned about St. Brown and Swift and some of those players. Doesn't mean I won't play them, but I know what I'm getting, right? You pick up the snake and you get bit, you shouldn't be surprised. So this tells me be cautious. Don't be like, how come Detroit didn't do good this week? Where did that come from? Data's here. Tea leaves are kind of telling you some of these things. So that's how I use this. Kind of get a kind of a taste what could be, right? Is it soup pretty good? Let me taste it. See if I want a whole bowl. Same thing here. That's how you use metrics properly versus I'm a robot. I must not play or I must play. No, uh, you know, being uh, ironclad in your decisions is not to your advantage. Nimble and flexible are good, right? Injuries, things could happen at the last minute. Weather with this hurricane coming up the East Coast, winds. It's always good to be nimble and flexible. Okay, so and then I've just graphed that just for visual. Some people like to really see the intensity. I mean, take a look at Arizona and Tampa Bay. You think those are two different teams? Yeah, in the last 3 weeks, as far as how efficient they've been. Yeah, big difference. Okay. Uh, so there may be some surprises here, right? New England's up there in its offense. That's intriguing, right? That kind of thing. So take a look at that, see what you think. Home and away. Who loves the home games? Detroit, Indianapolis, Pittsburgh, Buffalo, Tampa Bay, Arizona. So take a look at the schedule this week, see who's home, who's away. I know Detroit's away. I haven't checked the others yet. But again, this is Thursday. I'm not setting everything in stone, right? I mean, I'm constantly moving things and pieces around. Who has been doing better away? Which is very intriguing, right? Why do teams do that? Denver, Jacksonville, the Jets, KC, how about that? Cincinnati. I think Cincinnati's on a bye, so I don't think we have to worry about them this week. But so that's intriguing. It makes you wonder what is going on. Look at Detroit. Look if we plot that. This is the home efficiency. Look, Detroit is way above every other team in the league. Indianapolis is high, but look at Detroit. Goodness, that's what 3 versus 2, right? That's what is that? It's about 33% more efficient at home versus Indianapolis, which is high. So if you figure one is about average, okay, that's about average. You can see who's above and below, right? And just add that mix in, right? Shove up some maybe lower rate players this week if they're home versus some that play better away. Just good to kind of manipulate the pieces, manipulate your lineups a little bit. And if you're still listening, yes, that means it's quite the work. And you're saying, you mean I can't set my lineup Tuesday morning and don't have to worry about it again. Oh, you can, but you probably will make some mistakes. Okay. And it's not going to be efficient. Do what you got to do, but hopefully I better not be in your league. And no, I don't use my real name. Okay. I don't want anybody to know who I am. Okay. Next group of data, and we'll just kind of go through a few of these just so you know how to read this. I have a table and I have a graph. So let me just jump to the table here. This is 4 teams per table: Arizona, Atlanta, Baltimore, and Buffalo. The position, RB, TE, and WR. The scoring levels of that position. Uh, so higher numbers, better. Anything above about 50 is extremely amazing. Okay, so 20s to 30s is about what you can expect weekly. Usage, how does a team distribute the snaps versus players versus positions, right? So we look at Arizona, 39% of the use for snaps, wide receivers. Yet, look at the scoring. Wide receivers as a group in Arizona are not producing like the running backs are. And yet, the running backs are the least used. So, the running backs at Arizona are giving you more return than investment, if you think about it kind of like that. Whereas the wide receiver core is not. They're actually you're producing a lot more use and not getting a lot of scoring. Notice I didn't say Hopkins, right? We're looking at all of them, right? We're going from a top down. Okay, don't get worried. We go from top down. We will eventually look at Arizona. In fact, if you want to, I'll scroll my data all the way down and we can go deeper. Here's Arizona. Team, position, player, scoring average of the players, player average snaps, weeks 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and what's been happening lately, my difference metric. So let's look at the wide receivers. Number one scorer, Hopkins, 63. That is amazing. Hey, Marquise Brown, he's gone. He was second. And look at the rest of the crew. Other than Moore, it's sadness. It's just not, nothing's happening down here. Okay. Lots of snaps, not a lot of return. Okay. So that giant metric that I showed you was picking up everybody over the season, right? It didn't pick up individuals. You get your individual information now. Okay. AJ Green, he's out, he's in, he's out again. Okay, looks like Robbie Anderson is the third now by snaps. Maybe he'll get in, but I'm just saying, historically, Arizona has not been a wide receiver scoring other than maybe Hopkins. So I'm pessimistic about Rodney Anderson based on that snap usage and scoring overall. Doesn't mean he won't score 3 touchdowns this week. Just the range of outcomes would say probably not. Okay, that kind of thing. Tight end, Zach Ertz. We love Zach Ertz, right? The running backs been doing well. Connor, Benjamin, but I guess they only want to use the lead back, Connor. Looks like Benjamin's back as second fiddle, which is interesting because Benjamin has been scoring more, right? So that's really, and the little rookie Ingram, when he got a little bit of shot, I guess that was 6 and 7. He scored a lot relative to use. So I would say for Dynasty, he catches my attention. That kind of thing. So you can get deeper in the reading of these numbers here. Okay. And so that's an example of looking at the data. Here's 19 minutes. I don't want to go too much further. So here's Arizona. So if we graph it, the distance from the triangle, which is the usage, and I think last 4 week usage. Okay, sometimes I do threes. Don't ask me why, sometimes 3 or 4. Anyway, this is last 4, and the scoring level is in red. They're on top of each other. That means it's very good. The distance here is how inefficient it is, and the tight ends. And well, see, the thing with tight ends, there's usually one dominant tight end, but this catches all of them. So that may not be telling the full story, but at least it gives you a feel for how the team is using tight ends. For instance, let's look at Baltimore. You think they love their tight ends? Look at the usage. Compare Arizona. It's the opposite. Right? In fact, Arizona looks like Buffalo, except Buffalo loves its wide receivers. Arizona loves its running backs. So you can get a sense for how a team is doing things. Look at Atlanta tonight; they're playing. It's running backs all day long. Okay, and that just kind of tells you they're putting. And Pitts, uh, he's doing better, but not like Baltimore with Andrews, right? Poor Knox at Buffalo, just not getting his due. And look at the gap here. Buffalo is almost super efficient RB and wide receivers. Knox is just not doing it. So there's an issue, and the coaches know this. Okay, so and the quarterback knows this. Okay, so you can take a look and get a lot more information out of this than you think, but it takes time. You got to study it. I'm not going to just serve it all to you and, put jam on your toast. You're going to have to chop some wood to get some fire. That's why I don't have, people want it all done for them. And I'm showing you what I do. And since I make the data, I'm immersed in it. So a lot more sticks in my head, and I carry around the fingertip knowledge. So, very interesting how I approach it. You can see this level going down to the player level. Went through Arizona as an example. You can look at all the other teams as well. And finally, at the bottom, I added something this week. Declines and increases. I just caught the last couple weeks who's been moving up in snap average, scoring. And here's the list of those that have been improving at some level. I didn't, just some level, the tops, and you could see. And so some of these might be of interest for us to acquire or trade for. Probably not all of them, right? But some. So you can take a look at the RBs, the tight ends, and the wide receivers and take a snapshot of their snaps. And here are the declines. A lot of this is injury. Okay. So, may have some issues here. Take a look, see what you think, see what's going up, going down, that kind of thing. Like I said, a lot of this you're catching injury here at this point, but not all. So, you can kind of guess what's going on or not going on based on what's going on. For instance, Soler, uh, KC, you think they're not using him anymore? Yeah. Look at that. Look at that drop off. Week 6, uh, 17, week 7, 17, week 9. Sadness. So he's not somebody I'm putting a lot of faith in right now. That kind of thing. So get deep into this, immerse yourself, and I wish you good luck. And I'll have my game analysis out Saturday. So this will come out, I guess tomorrow, Friday. Woo woo, we're having fun. Thanks for listening, you guys. Again, this is my process. Okay.